Starting today, President Lee Jae-myung begins work at the Blue House, or Cheong Wa Dae, after the presidential office officially moved back to its traditional home. A phoenix flag symbolizing the country's head of state was raised at the Blue House at midnight. North Korea announced that it tests fire long-range strategic missiles. The regime's leader, Kim Jong-un, oversaw the test launch and said all efforts will be devoted to the unlimited and sustained development of its nuclear combat force. Coupang has decided to compensate data leak victims with coupons worth 50,000 Korean won. The total package is expected to amount to 1.68 trillion won, which is roughly $1.2 billion, for more than 33 million affected customers. Hello and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. President Lee Jae-myung began working from the presidential office at Cheong Wa Dae today following the relocation of the office from Yongsan. On the stroke of midnight, the symbolic phoenix flag was raised at Cheong Wa Dae, also known as the Blue House. President Lee started the day by meeting aides over tea before visiting the National Crisis Management Center. He will mostly stay at the Yeomin-gwan building rather than the main office building for close communication with his senior aides and staff. The Blue House was previously used as the presidential office by former President Moon Jae-in in 2022. North Korea says it has test-fired long-range strategic cruise missiles over the West Sea. Regime's leader Kim Jong-un observed the drill on site, saying Pyongyang will continue developing its nuclear forces. Our Oh Soo-young has more.
North Korea carried out a long-range strategic cruise missile launch drill over the West Sea, marking its second missile provocation in less than a week, with leader Kim Jong-un observing. The North state-run Korean Central News Agency says Sunday's launch involved flying long-range strategic cruise missiles over the West Sea airspace for about 2 hours and 50 minutes before their targets were hit. State media also released photos showing the missiles being launched, along with images of a target building being struck and destroyed. The drill was intended to check the counter-strike readiness and combat capability of the North strategic weapons. Kim Jong-un, who watched the drill on site, reportedly conveyed dissatisfaction. He said regularly checking the reliability and responsiveness of nuclear forces and continuing to demonstrate the power is an exercise of self-defense. He added the regime would continue to focus all efforts on strengthening its nuclear combat capabilities. This comes just 4 days after North Korea test-fired a long-range surface-to-air missile over the EC on the 24th. Experts say that with the ruling party's 9th Congress set for early next year, Pyongyang appears to be highlighting its military achievements. South Korea's military has said it detected several missiles launched from the North Sunan area in Pyongyang at around 8 a.m. on Sunday, adding that North Korea could carry out additional missile tests around the year-end period. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
U.S. President Donald Trump says a peace deal to end the Ukraine war is closer than ever after meeting with his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelenskyy in Florida. Zelenskyy also expressed optimism, saying 90% of the 20-point peace plan has been agreed upon. Our Lee Seung-jae has the latest.
U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy said they made significant progress toward a potential peace agreement to end the war in Ukraine, following talks held at Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida on Sunday. Trump said discussions with Zelenskyy and a separate 2-hour phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin brought negotiations very close to a deal, estimating that roughly 90 to 95% of key issues have been addressed.
We had a terrific meeting. We discussed a lot of things. As you know, I had an excellent phone call with President Putin that lasted for over 2 hours. We discussed a lot of points, and I do think we're getting a lot closer, maybe very close.
He emphasized that while major progress has been made over the past month, several thorny issues remain unresolved, including territorial and security arrangements. President Zelenskyy said Ukraine and the U.S. agreed on most elements of a 20-point peace framework, including full agreement on U.S. security guarantees for Ukraine and military provisions. He said broader U.S., European, and Ukrainian security guarantees are close to completion, and a post-war prosperity plan is being finalized.
And we discussed all the aspects of the peace framework, which includes, and we have great achievements, 20-point peace plan, 90% agreed, and U.S.-Ukraine security guarantees, 100% agreed. U.S.-Europe-Ukraine security guarantees, almost agreed. Military dimension, 100% agreed.
Both leaders stressed that security guarantees are essential for lasting peace. The two leaders also held a joint call with European leaders, including representatives from NATO and the European Union, and agreed that negotiating teams will meet in the coming weeks. Trump said he plans to host follow-up talks in Washington in January. He added that discussions with Putin included Russia's role in Ukraine's reconstruction, stating that Russia would help and could supply energy and electricity at low cost. However, he confirmed that Russia has not agreed to a ceasefire, citing Putin's concern about halting fighting and potentially restarting it later. On timing, Trump said a deal could be reached within weeks if talks continue positively, but acknowledged there is also a chance negotiations could fail. Both leaders concluded by reaffirming their commitment to continued negotiations, with Trump saying he remains focused on ending the war. 이승재, 아리랑 뉴스.
Following the massive data leak at Coupang, affected customers will each be compensated with 50,000 Korean won, or about $35 worth of Coupang vouchers. The e-commerce giant announced on Monday that the total package amounts to 1.68 trillion Korean won, or roughly $1.2 billion, covering 33.7 million customer holders. Starting January 15th, compensation will be distributed as 4 separate vouchers: 5,000 won for its main commerce site, 5,000 won for Coupang's food delivery app, and 20,000 won each for Coupang Travel and the luxury platform Arirang. The company's interim head, Harold Rogers, said the company is implementing the measures to fully accept responsibility and rebuild trust with its user base. And today marks 1 year since the December 29th Jeju Air passenger plane disaster, and an official memorial ceremony was held Monday morning at Busan International Airport. The event was jointly hosted by the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport and a group made up of family members of the victims. At 9:03 a.m., memorial sirens rang across Gwangju and South Jeolla Province for 1 minute. Around 1,200 people attended, including bereaved families, senior government officials, lawmakers, and members of the public. In a video message, President Lee Jae-myung offered his deepest apologies and vowed a thorough investigation and full support for the bereaved families. Last year's crash occurred when a Jeju Air passenger plane from Bangkok struck a concrete structure during an emergency landing attempt, killing 179 of the 181 people on board. The music industry has seen a greater presence of artificial intelligence this year, not only as a tool for enhancing music, but even taking center stage itself. Our Ian-jin tells us more.
K-pop duo Deuce made a comeback in Seoul last month, marking the 30th anniversary of the death of member Kim Sung-jae. And after 28 years, a song written and composed by bandmate Lee Hyun-do brought the duo back to their fans, with Kim's voice restored using AI.
Today's Deuce is not about someone in the present. It's about the two members standing together again before you, in the same time, in the same format, on the same screen.
It was an emotional moment, not only for the fans from 30 years ago, but also for younger people who know Deuce from streaming music. And now, thanks to technology, perhaps the duo have returned to stay with fans forever.
It sounded so vivid, as if it were an original recording of his actual voice. My heart was racing, and it felt like the era of New Jack Swing had returned.
One of the members passed away very early, but even so, the fact that the group can keep going feels kind of amazing.
What's notable is that AI has long been a part of the K-pop industry, where virtual AI artists and idols already exist.
나는 AI가 아니라 나이비스야. 나이비스.
The same goes for the global pop market. In just the past few months, at least 6 AI or AI-assisted artists have debuted on various Billboard rankings. In November, the country song Walk My Walk by Breaking Rust, created using AI, topped the U.S. Billboard country chart. Then, when another song, Don't Tread on Me by virtual singer Kane Walker, climbed to 3rd place on the same chart, concerns arose both within and outside the industry. Results of a consumer survey offer at least some guidance on how the industry is grappling with the AI era. Opinions were evenly split on whether people wanted to reject AI-generated music itself. But as many as 80% said they wanted clear and transparent disclosure when a song is created by AI.
If music is made or sung by AI, it needs to be transparently disclosed in advance. And if many such works are released, it may even be necessary to establish separate charts dedicated exclusively to AI.
Having moved beyond a supporting role to open up a new horizon in the music market as a star itself, AI is bringing endless amazement, not to mention a chilling sense of unease for some. And as this happens, industry rules and guidelines are increasingly in need of new definitions. 이은진, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. We start in Suriname, where a brutal knife attack has left 9 people dead, including 5 children. Police officials say a 43-year-old suspect targeted his own children and neighbors who tried to intervene. The attack on the outskirts of the capital Paramaribo on Sunday reportedly followed a phone argument with the suspect's estranged wife after she refused to pick up the children. Authorities arrested the suspect after he attempted to attack responding officers. He remains under hospital care for injuries sustained during the arrest. While Suriname traditionally has low crime rates, the national homicide rate saw a sharp spike to 30 per 100,000 residents in 2024, according to Inside Crime. In the United States, a mid-air collision between 2 helicopters over New Jersey has killed 1 pilot and left another in critical condition. The Federal Aviation Administration reports that an Enstrom F-28A and an Enstrom 280C collided over Hamilton Municipal Airport and crashed at approximately 11:25 on Sunday morning. The pilots were the only people on board each helicopter. Local authorities and the National Transportation Safety Board are now investigating, focusing on whether the pilots were able to see and avoid each other. Weather officials said visibility was good at the time of the crash. Thailand and Cambodia have signed a new ceasefire agreement seeking to end weeks of border fighting that killed more than 100 people and displaced over 500,000 people. The deal was signed on Saturday and confirmed Sunday as top diplomats from both countries met in China for follow-up talks. The agreement includes a 72-hour observation period, after which Thailand has agreed to repatriate 18 captured Cambodian soldiers. French cinema legend and animal rights activist Brigitte Bardot died Sunday at her home in southern France at the age of 91. A representative of the Brigitte Bardot Foundation confirmed her death and said no cause was given, but that she had been hospitalized last month. Bardot rose to global fame in the 1950s and 60s, becoming a symbol of French cinema and cultural change before retiring from film in 1973. She later devoted her life to animal protection, campaigning worldwide against animal cruelty. President Emmanuel Macron paid tribute to the late star, calling her an exceptional woman and a legend of French culture. Chu Ji-han, Arirang News.
After a freezing Friday, the winter weather was much more bearable over the weekend. And there should be no major cold today. In fact, it's going to feel too warm to be the end of December, before things get too cold again at the end of the week. However, air quality will get worsened today as additional fine dust flows in from overseas. The capital area and Chungcheongdo provinces could see very bad levels this afternoon. So despite sunnier skies and warmer highs, a face mask is a must if you're heading out. There was a scattered winter mix this morning in the capital and Gangwon-do province. It should gradually let up as the day goes on, but Gangwon-do province could see 1 to 7 centimeters of snowfall. And this afternoon, Seoul will be getting up to 8 degrees Celsius. Daegu, Gwangju both topping out at 13 degrees. Now, the final week of 2025, we're expecting a similar weather pattern to last week, with an intense chill expected on the final day of the year and on New Year's Day.
That's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.